I mean, to be fair, MGM, that that is kind of why I have you here, so that way I'm not quite so lonely. Hello and welcome. How are you doing, excursionists? I'm Doug. We're here. It is yet another viewer choice night. And yet again, we have another tie. Yes, you are the voice in my ear, kind of. Just to the left of my screen. Um so right now the vote is tied. One vote, Nightcall. One vote, Destroy All Humans. So either we try and play both games for a little bit, or we play something completely different. MGM, you got any? You are volunteering to allow the child to win. Thing one voted, our oldest, voted for Destroy All Humans. Um, which, to be fair, last time Mom won. So let me get Destroy All Humans pulled up. Ahead. Volume meter. Sometimes the games they like to be loud. Wink. Why was the cat in the sink? I I need to know. This is upsetting. Definitely very loud in my ah. Turn that down by half at least. That sounds slightly less deafening. You wouldn't know that this is installed on my solid state drive. Really? See? Well, this is fun. Not detecting my control, like, at all. We're really any in. Awesome. All right. Technical difficulty. There we go. Yeah. Go ahead and bring my face back up. Oh boy. Gonna be one of those nights. I mean, it just wasn't responding at all to the controller. So that's less an issue of settings not being right and probably more to do with the fact that I was, bouncing in and out of the program so that way I could play with volume. Nothing. Didn't connect to my. Okay. Be a sign. Okay. Well, while I sort this out, oh, good. It's still just my face on stream. Whole lot of nothing happening in the game. So, don't think we're going to be playing Destroy All Humans tonight, unfortunately. Fire up Nightcall, see if it behaves any better. All right. The good news is that Nightcall is mouse and keyboard only, so less to go wrong. Well, really, it's mouse. All right. It's time to get moving on your investigation. So looking at my stream manager on Twitch, it said unstable. Looking at OBS, I mean, it's run anywhere from 7,000 kilobits per second to as low as 3,900. So I got nothing. It is what it is at this point. All right. Well, case report for victim number 3. Clearly, fate needed you to win. Alrighty. Claudia seems very connected to victim number 3. Paul Mali seems... Uh-oh. Now I've got connection issues on my side. There we go. Now I'm reconnected. Welcome back, folks. Which camera am I talking into? Oi. Herve. 2 and 3. Euro. Part of these. I don't really know. The phone rings and you jump. You're not used to hearing it. No one ever calls you. It must be Busey. You pick up. Busey sounds irritated. You there? Yeah. Listen, it's... She pauses. You suddenly hear a ruckus in the background. Probably noise at the station. Busey raises her voice. Anyone got the time? Hey, guys? Anyone? Fuck. There are Neanderthals here. Listen, it's early and I'm wiped out. So are you, I bet. Let's get straight to the point. What do you have for me? In a calm and methodical voice, you start giving her the evidence you collected. You start with the first suspect, their connection to the victims, the rumors, then the second suspect, and on. A few minutes in, she lets out a whistle. Wait just a moment. Realized, category's wrong. We changed games. There we go. A few minutes in, she lets out a whistle. Not bad at all. Seriously. You should come give me a lesson. You should come give a lesson to the zombies I work with. A long sigh. I have good news for you. We checked the alibi of one of the suspects I gave you. As you listen to her, you turn to the board and pull down the suspect she's referring to. So, it's got to be someone else. She snickers. You know how lucky you are? I'm doing your job for you, pal. Okay, enough chit-chat. I gotta run. I'll call you in 2-3 days, okay? Good doggy. I'll call you in 3 days, and you'd better have what I need to make a proper arrest. So there's your answer, MGM. I got 3 days. The DA has fangs. We're pretty sure he's going to turn into a werewolf at some point. That was far more German than French. I apologize. She babbles on for a while. Her voice becomes softer, but just as sarcastic. That would explain his terrible breath. Okay, I'm out. She hangs up. You hold the handset to your ear for a while. You have just one thing in mind. Sleeping. And forgetting it all. It's not Claudia. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You slowly open the sofa bed and lie down. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. You open one eye. Someone flushes the toilet and you hear the pipes shake. One of them runs under your bed. Yeah. Folks, you have no idea just how much truth MGM spoke in chat. You find the sound calming. You get up quickly. A few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. Looks like I've checked out all the scenes I can. Huh. Let's go over. Sleep is my favorite part of the day, too. Piero Bataz. I'm too drunk to drive. You pull up in front of the address the central office gave you. A clip joint, quite a popular one by the looks of the lines spilling out the door and onto the sidewalk. You sit for a moment, the door opens, and a group of 30-somethings comes into view. All the men and women are dressed alike. Sporty, running shoes, jeans, small shoulder bags. They're officers from the Paris Anti-Crime Squad in plain clothes. You sigh. They're brutish types. Ones who like to race, tackle, clobber. Ones who ruined the afternoons you spent wandering around Paris in your teens. After a bit, one of them pulls away from the group and comes over to your taxi. He opens the door and collapses onto the back seat. He is stocky and of Asian descent. You can see his muscles through his thick winter clothes. He smells like crepes and hard cider, and his face is bright red. Hey, what's up? I live 10... He chuckles as one of his colleagues rushes over to the taxi and pulls an imaginary gun from his coat. He points to his badge and screams at you with a big smile on his face. What a douchebag! The other cop eventually backs off, and you drive away. Sorry, man. We were having a going-away party for a colleague, and celebrating Christmas, too. No worries. Your passenger smiles, then puts his fingers back on his temples. Drank too much. Shit. I'm a lightweight and they knew it. I think they were trying to loosen my tongue. His behavior changes abruptly, like he's just seen a ghost. One question. Yes? Do taxi drivers have some sort of policy or ethics code? Yes, of course. He smiles. Perfect. Because I don't know who to talk to about this, and I don't know. You look like a nice guy. He takes his head in his hands. Fuck. Shit. I've been lying to my colleagues for years. I joined the squad 8 years ago, and they all think I'm in a relationship with a woman who lives in Strasbourg, and that we're going to get married. He makes a strange yelping noise, like an air bubble bursting on the surface of a river. As soon as they get too close to Strasbourg, I start making up stories. We've almost broken up 10 times. I convinced them that we're trying to have a kid, but it hasn't worked yet. Besides, fuck. Saying it out loud, just silly. His eyes are getting shiny. And gay. I'm getting married in a few weeks to my boyfriend. Breath. Longer, deeper. You called it there, MGM. No one at the work knows. Not a soul. The next sentences come out in a rush. He holds his breath the whole time. I like men. I always liked men. I work in a police station and listen to their comments, their jokes all day long. When we catch a guy who's never done time before, we tell him briefly what he should expect. We talk about the violence, about the... Finally, he breathes in again. Say we because I'm in on it. Because I can say fag any time of day without any prompting. The world rolls off my tongue completely naturally. Like, he looks you in the... They're not mean. Who? He shakes his... My colleagues. My colleagues aren't mean people. They're cops, not mean. Just doing their job. He manages to flash a tiny, crooked smile. You know what I'd really like? He pauses. I'd like to have them over for dinner. Everybody on the squad. They could see my place. We could play a board game. Something normal, you know? And they could meet James. Your husband-to-be? He takes a moment to think about your question. Yes. Soon. He smiles at last. A genuine smile. Can you believe it? We're getting married in 2 weeks. After living together for 9 years. For 9 years. He's been willing to live in a lie. Does he hold it against you? No, he gets how it is. He snickers. He's crazy about me. Crazy about him. He knows I love my job and couldn't possibly do anything else. He loves me enough to let me keep lying. Slowly shakes his head. But I can't. I have to. He freezes. Shit. Spinning. Don't feel so good. Am I tapping you up? Why? He grabs onto the seat in front of him. Hey, can you pull over? You stop immediately. He opens the door and leans the top half of his body out. He throws up. You open your window to air out the greasy smell of fried crepes and the sour scent of cider. A moment later, the cop sits back up. Okay. I'm all set. I got it all out. You start driving again. Sorry, Billy. Breathe. Yeah. You nod while your passenger moans, quietly says, sorry. Yeah? Be careful. He pauses to catch his breath. I haven't barfed like that since last Easter. Made me drink this South African liqueur. Something with cream and cocoa. Nasty. I can still picture it. I was doing shots while they shouted my name. Karate Kid! Karate Kid! Karate Kid? He seems uncomfortable. It's my nickname on karate. Yeah, I was a judo champion. And a gook. He runs his hands along the sides of his body like he's showcasing it for the home shopping network. Karate Kid? Yeah, I know. It makes no sense. It's racist. Well, little. But at first, I'd say anything. And now, I mean, I'm used to it. He stops suddenly. Everything's spinning again. But can you pull over? A repeat of the last time. He opens the door, leans his head out, his torso, his arm. The sound makes your stomach churn, so you stare straight ahead. Can I ask you a question? More puke on the sidewalk. Little insight. Ahead. Fine. Shoot. He sits up, prompts you to drive. So, here goes. What should I do? Should I keep on keeping on? Should I confess? Should I invite them to my wedding and surprise them? He pauses. A long one. He's straight with me. What would you do if you were me? If you were in my shoes? I think you're being hard on yourself. You're hurting yourself rather than trying to solve the problem. You're not going to change your sexual orientation or leave your husband. So there aren't a ton of alternatives. You have to tell them. Tell them. I've gotta tell them. He looks at you in the mirror. Can you take me somewhere else, if you don't mind? Don't mind. My colleagues are at a bar. I'll go see them. Tell them everything. If I don't do it now, then I'll never do it. A smile of relief spreads across his face. It's just the alcohol talking? Yes. But I think it's about the 10th time I've gotten wasted this month. You're right. I'm hurting myself. He gives you the new address. I need to tell them. Feel terrible. But I think I'll feel better if I speak to them directly. His headache is apparently back and it's knocked him out a bit. You're used to having drunk people in your cab. Actually, the majority of your Saturday night passengers are drunk. Don't know how to tell them about all this. From the tone of his voice, you can tell he's beginning to panic. I don't think I'm ready. Should I turn around? Turn around. He scans your face, trying to figure out what you're thinking. You think that it's your decision? Good then. I want to go home. It's not a good idea to talk to them when my blood alcohol level is so high. Thank you. The remainder of the ride is long. You can see he's having trouble sitting still. Once or twice you sense he's about to break and change his mind. Then, nothing. He appears to calm down and remains completely still, lost in his own head. You keep an eye on the road. You have almost reached your destination. In the back seat, your passenger is almost asleep. You park in front of a small townhouse. There's a light on upstairs. Still. I'm going to talk to James. He looks at you. I don't really remember everything I said, but Thanks. He chuckles. I hope this taxi ride wasn't just in my imagination. He pays and gets out of the taxi. You listen to his clumsy footsteps on the cobblestones. He climbs the few steps up to the door. Before he has time to find his keys, the door opens. Warm, soft light floods the street. You drive away. Your next passenger immediately raises her hand. Drive. I don't care where. I just need you to drive. You turn the key in the ignition. Yes, there, good. Keep going this way. Her deep, full voice makes you slightly uncomfortable. With closed eyes, she seems like she's in a place far from the back seat of your taxi. When she starts speaking, there's an odd whistle in her voice, like she has a hole in one of her teeth. Slow down. Frail? Fragile. A bit surprised, you look back at her in the mirror. Answer me, frail or fragile? Not sure. Don't think about it. Just say the first one that comes to your mind. Frail or fragile? Ah, odd. I wouldn't have thought that of you. After all, frailty applies more to humans than to objects. Down in Fraggle Rock, ta-ta. The whistle in her voice crackles for a second. Both worlds actually have the same root. I saw it and was really tempted. A smile spreads across her face. 2 worlds, 2 units. A life went on, and worlds mixed again. She pauses. You okay? He doesn't hear your question because she starts to scream. Go down this street and stop! You speed up in the quiet street. The cold weather has driven away all the passers-by. There, yes, good. I've got it. She cries out with joy and it resonates in the cab. I've got it! Look, the worlds are right there. They're wandering past us like sheep, like... She explodes with laughter. I'm not gonna say anything. Now, I must write. She closes her eyes, her fingers stroke imaginary upholstery. The frail are forced into battle. Together come the children, a son and a daughter, standing tall to salute. Itch, sorry. They will cry. Oh yes, they will cry. The eaglets fly behind. The frail will say... Your passenger freezes. When she opens her eyes again, she stares at you. What happens when you sleep? She's waiting for you. Nightmare. He tilts her head to the side just a bit. That's a lie, and you know it. What happens when you drive? Look. Exactly. You give your time to others. She laughs strangely, almost a snicker. Her eyelids droop. As the son will say, "Frail father, I want you to come back to life." And the daughter will say, "Frail father, I want you to come back a winner." The whistle in her voice grates on your ears. The father responds, "You must choose." As the eaglet lands upon his shoulder, together they fly. And thus all began. Fragile, frail, two paths that can't be fooled. The son and daughter will grow up, though not at the same pace. When early one morning, 20 years later, they wake up, they wake to the sound of a bugle. The sound will be beaten, chound, clubbed, until he wakes from a 1,000-year nightmare. A nightmare that kneaded together the earth and life, and brought into the world a dream for the daughter and the son. May they learn to live again without their father, frail and fragile. Frail is fragile. He catches her breath. 11 years. I've been writing this poem for 11 years. Good job. You get the impression she didn't even hear you. Of course not. For 11 years, I've been trying to finish the text. It's filled with so much. It's infused with my entire life. Its lungs are swollen with my tears. Her breathing is now quite irregular. And it was all waiting right here in the street in front of me. She giggles. Thank you. She sighs, places a few bills in front of you, far more than fair. Stop here and you pull the cab over. Keep everything. I have nothing. She gets out of the taxi without a peep. It seems to you that it's only an impression, but it looks like she's getting smaller and smaller with each step. Darkness swallows her, and you sit there, a bit shaken by her poem. You pick up the money, something falls at your feet. You grab onto a small, shiny white seashell with your fingers. You look at it for a second without saying a word. 11 years. The idea makes its way into your brain. You take a minute, drive off. Kitty? don't think I can say no to the kitty hailing a cab. Rookie. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, MGM. You pull up to the sidewalk and wait for your passenger. Since it looks like a no-show, you get out of the cab after a minute or two, and smoke a cigarette. There's not much going on in this small town in the suburbs. There are a few apartments that still have lights on. A sweet scent hangs in the air. Eventually, you stub out your cigarette and get back in the car. You jump, startled. A cat has managed to slip into the cab. It's sitting on the back seat, staring at you intently. You sit there for a moment, considering whether or not to shoo it away. But just as you are about to wave your hand, the cat shifts positions, and a slip of paper falls from its collar. Gonna pick up the paper. You pick up the paper and unfold it. A fragment of a map of Paris. The Saint-Lazare train station. You turn your eyes slowly to the cat. He seems to be expecting an answer. Are you going somewhere? The cat tilts its head to the side, as if to say yes. You go to Saint-Lazare? The cat tilts its head again. Are you a dog? The cat slowly nods its head no. Your hands clutch the wheel tightly. What hell is going on? You turn around to face the cat. Okay, fine. I'll take you. You let out a sigh. Okay, fine. You start talking to yourself in low tones as if to balance the conversation. Normal. This is perfectly normal. You start the cab, but cast a glance at the cat behind you. You're the one who ordered the cab? You start to laugh. A few minutes go by. You try to break the ice. Simple questions are probably best. Everything okay? Neither a yes or a no. More of a plaintive meow. Are you going on vacation? No, that seems like a silly question. Are you meeting someone? No, that's not it. The cat is staring at you. The conversation seems to bore him. You seem to be well fed. Pretty strange, I must say. Did someone hurt you? A plaintive meow. You sigh. Your owner? Another meow, but longer and deeper, more heartfelt. You nod your head. What happened? Was it a man? No answer. A woman? Was she mean to you? The cat seems to be uncertain. She was overly affectionate? The cat lets out a string of insistent meows. Touché. That's it. She is too affectionate? That's why you're running away? The cat is watching you with a steady eye. You are sure you're on the right track. You have to be careful with people like that. They suffocate you before you even know it. You nod your head. But you ran away. I meet lots of people like you. You stop short. But you are just a cat. You roll your eyes. Behind you, the cat lets out a quiet, reassuring meow. What I mean is, well, we don't even know we are in a cage. We prefer not to think about it. We are never fully aware of it. You look at the cat. It's to be lazy. Talking to. You shake your head. You point to a light in the distance. That's the Saint-Lazare. We'll be there soon. A few yards later, you stop at the drop-off area in front of the station. The first train doesn't leave for another hour. Where are you going? The cat stares at you without making a noise. Let me guess. Saint-Lazare. If you were going to the suburbs of Paris, you wouldn't have needed to come into town. So, somewhere in the northwest of France. Normandy? Somewhere by the sea, huh? The cat looks at you and meows. A sharp sound. Probably yes. A very hungry yes. For the fish, I guess. You check the time on the dashboard. It's time to go to get a real customer. You try not to think too much about the situation you're in, and you hope that no one sees you talking to a cat. Yes, the tuna is lovely this time of year. I'll just start saying the names of cities, and you meow when I hit the right one. You start listing cities in Normandy. The cat doesn't move a muscle. Cherbourg? The cat looks up. Ah, so is Cherbourg. Getting close. Saint-Malo? Still nothing. I've got it. Deauville. A meow of delight. You're smiling too. All of a sudden you're exhausted. Okay, come on. Time to say goodbye. You get out of the cab and open the back door. A bill has appeared on the seat next to... A bill has appeared on the seat next to the cat. It is enough for the fare and more. Well, you are full of surprises, aren't you? I won't ask where it came from. You smile and lean over to pet the cat. It leaps out of the car and darts between your legs. You can just make out its shape dashing up a flight of stairs and slipping between the bars of a gate. You get back in the car. You look at yourself in the rearview mirror. Your features are heavy with fatigue. Your right eyelid is twitching. You start the car. You remember you're allergic to cats. But you haven't sneezed once. You pull out of the station. I mean, yeah. Your next passenger is heavily pregnant. You go to help her inside, but she waves you away with a hand. I'm fine. Judging from her accent, she's not from Paris. Yeah, I was just looking at that. I need to get some water anyway, so give me just a second, folks. Turn that down. Let me give you guys some music, and I will be right back. Alrighty. Let's swap back to the game. Think I should have the issue with Nightbot corrected, so now we should be able to carry on. So, tried to help a very, very pregnant lady into the cab. She waved me off. Judging by her accent, she's not from Paris, not from France, English, or maybe American. Things just take a bit longer these days. She settles in, adjusting her coat around her huge belly. You gun the accelerator and set off. Instinctively, you find yourself driving more deliberately, not slower. Just carefully. You regard the woman in the mirror. She's staring out of the window with a 1,000-yard stare, her hands wringing themselves around each other like a fistful of snakes. Your French is pretty good. She glances at the back of your head. I know. You're American? She snorts. Jesus. I'm working on me accent, but I didn't know it was that bad. I'm from the UK. Wait, Manchester. I'm from Manchester. I mean, that's in the UK, but the distinction is important, especially these days. Say the UK and everyone assumes you're from London. I fucking hate London. You've driven a fair few British people over the years. Most don't speak a word of French. Many had an odd sense of pride in their lack of language ability. But, accent aside, the young woman behind you is fluent. I didn't mean to offend. She looks away from the window and into your eyes. You try a smile. Her face softens. Don't worry about it. You get used to it. There are worse things you could have opened with. She shifts uncomfortably. Nope. No. See, folks, I'm a dad. More importantly, I'm married. Twice over. If you learn nothing else from this stream, never, ever, ever guess. Doesn't matter if the thing's wriggling out of her at that moment. She just ate a lot of lasagna that night. I don't know much about Manchester. Not even United? Or City? At first, you don't get the reference, then you realize she's talking about football. I don't really follow all that. Smart man. Bunch of overpaid wankers kicking a fancy balloon about. If it's not, oh, you're from London, it's, which team do you support? Spare me. She pauses and runs a hand over her belly. We miss it. Manchester. Market Street on the way home from work. Bog Lane. Bog Lane Park on Sunday morning. Ricky's Tea and Bacon Barn. How far along are you? 13 months? She sighs and looks down at her bump. He hasn't stopped kicking since we left. She's a feisty one, that's for sure. That's her French side. She's half French? Not sure it's half. I'm the one doing the heavy lifting. But definitely a good third or so, yeah. That's why I'm over here. Ahmed insisted the little bugger pops out over here. Gets herself an EU passport. The smile on her face dies in place, and she stares out of the window again. And he needed to get out of the UK after everything that happened. You mean the political situation? She sighs. Fucking Brexit. As soon as she's spoken, her mouth folds into an O, and a groan spills from her throat. Swear! Every time I talk about Brexit. Another grimace. She kicks the shit out of my fucking womb. She rubs her belly and mumbles a few soothing words. After a moment, she returns her attention to you. But yeah, fucking B-word. I mean, no one thought it was actually going to happen. You'd see the campaigners out on the streets, remain and leave. You'd pass them off as fanatics or something. I wasn't into politics, but when it's on the news every night, something leaks through. Something gets you thinking. Ahmed was more into it than I was. Kept bringing home these flyers, blue for remain, red for leave. Like it was a fucking primary school popularity contest. Something. You look back and notice her hand go to her mouth. She starts plucking nervously at her bottom lip. Must have been scary. Nothing was ever positive. Every argument, every headline, non-stop fucking negativity. Fucked if we stay, fucked if we... Promises from every side. Numbers, predictions, posters, billboards. A few weeks before the vote, no word of a lie, the whole fucking city felt like a bomb about to explode. People at work kept getting into slanging matches about this bit or that bit. How could you possibly think? Versus, you don't know what you're talking about. And when the result came back, there was about 20 minutes of celebration. Then the brakes kicked on something harsh. Walking to work that morning, you couldn't help but judge everyone. Like, I wonder which way she voted. There were a couple of fights at work, like proper fights, fists swinging all over the place. If there's one thing insecure fucking men need, it's something to throw punches about. How did your partner take it? Bad. Worse than me. I hadn't seen him cry before that. Came home from work and he just hugged till he stopped shaking. When his gran died, when his fucking family dog, never so much as a tear. But this was too much. Had to cry myself. After it turned out all those twats in London didn't know what the fuck to do next. Yeah, it unraveled pretty quick. Things got real bad after. Ahmed had a few run-ins with Brexiteers, you know, the hardline knobs with Union Jack hoodies and Winston Churchill tattoos. Most just told him to fuck off home. He could deal with that. He'd had the same over here. But one group, we were together one time and a group of them told me to fuck off with him, called me a traitor. Idiots squared up to them. Things got tense. First time I'd ever been glad to see a copper. So yeah, fucked off. Wasn't worth it. Ahmed's jobs had dried up anyway. No one wanted to hire a foreigner. Been staying with his lot over here ever since. Bare room. His mom don't speak a word of the Queen's. Her dad tries. Love baked beans. She smiles. Self. But now this one's almost here. Oh. Fucking. She shifts again, the seat creaking under her weight. That's a sound you seldom hear. What would you have done? I mean, if you lot ever had a Frexit vote or something, how would you vote? Vote to remain? You isn't perfect. It's pretty bad, actually, from what I've heard. But division isn't an answer. It's a statement. And the people behind such statements have their own goals. Goals that aren't on any billboards or flyers. Your answer seems to shake your passenger. He tugs on her lip aggressively, and her other hand balls itself into a fist. He sniffs. Everyone was so scared. After the vote, yeah. But before and all. We had the Remain side telling us how fucked we were if we left. The Leavers telling us how fucked we'd be if we stayed. But I saw Ma'am raise me and my brother on nothing. Nothing. Benefits didn't amount to anything. No one wanted to help a black single mother provide for her kids. Then we get these fuckers turning up at our house telling us how much worse off we'd be if we leave. I mean, how much worse could it have gotten? When you're in the shit, change becomes very fucking attractive. You had people offering you the same old, others pushing for something new. Promising change, new start. How the fuck do you think you're gonna vote when the same old ain't giving you shit? But your partner is French? Yeah, and? They weren't talking about cutting us off from the rest of the world, stopping him living here. Not before it happened, they weren't. She sucks a gallon of air into her lungs and continues. Before the vote, it was all about making our own laws again, stopping people 2,000 miles away, telling us how to live. Yeah, I figured that's what was happening. Her accent thickens as her voice cracks. It were about making sure we were looked after, you know? Mem's almost on a pension. I just wanted to do best by her. There was no talk of stopping anyone who ain't English living there. It weren't about that to me. She sniffs again. And now, it's all fucked. You pull up to her destination and she fumbles the fare over to you. Sorry. That. No problem. Understand. Yeah. At least over here, everything's, well, over there. Don't have to think about it every fucking month. Never told her. You know, coded the way he wouldn't. She moves to leave. You go to help her again, but she smiles a refusal at you. Really, okay. But I appreciate the offer. Makes me feel welcome. A few moments later, she waddles slowly to a door. Her hands continue to twist themselves into shapes as she waits for an answer until finally she disappears inside. You sigh and set off into the night. I don't know if you were having to help baby, but, you know, I agreed with you. Had my character say yeah. You immediately recognize the next passenger getting into your taxi. You never watch television, rarely listen to the radio. You don't read the newspaper, and yet you know Francois Delanier's face. Columnist, novelist, columnist, politician too, you think. Your passenger distractedly gives you his address. You start driving. He appears to be out of breath. His voice and hands are shaking. Unbelievable! He separates each syllable as if it's going to protect him from the violence around him. Unbelievable! Is everything okay? Can you begin to fathom what a public danger this represents? Eh? A mere 5 minutes ago, I wanted to cross the street. Suddenly, slicing through the darkness, in deafening silence, came an electric car. Its asphalt-coated tires drove right over the tip of my loafer. It's shot, I can tell. The leather is compressed and streaked with mud and soot. It's a travesty! A travesty! He begins writing furiously. You catch a few words from time to time. What for? The environment? 8 more road deaths? Save polar bears? He leaves you hanging for a second before grinning. Another badly thought out stunt from the snowflake hipster lobby. Quinoa! Electric planes that will crash into the Charles de Gaulle airport without a sound. You hear a throaty laugh. The Earth, safe, intact, clean, but at what cost? No way, Jose. Our planet produces oil, so we must use it. It would be unnatural not to. Unnatural indeed. He chuckles rudely.
Rise up in defense of the sweet power of the convertible, just as they would the hoot of the owl in danger of extinction in the lush forest of the Champagne region? Ah, murderer, assassin, the ferocious silence made to oppress us.
He puts down his notebook. A wolfish grin spreads across his face.
Yes, magnificent editorial. Just magnificent.
What about you? Would you want to have a silent car? I mean, me personally, yeah.
Why on God's green earth?
It's better for the environment.
Better for the environment?
Come now, what is environmentally friendly about a weapon of mass destruction? These cars are going to kill hundreds, thousands of people. Their silence will be the carbon dioxide of the 21st century. They will infiltrate our cities, our countryside. They'll mow us down on foot, on bike, even in another car. I'll tell it as I see it. Noise is life. A city without noise is not a city. Mark my words. You drive in silence for a few minutes. In the back seat, the Polymnus is fuming, and you catch occasional snippets of nonsense. The taxi has almost reached your passenger's place. It's just here. You pull up in front of his address, an old building, freshly renovated. On the top floor, the bay windows shine faintly in the darkness as the Eiffel Tower's spotlight washes over them. Your passenger sighs.
Oh, the devils, the fools! In the middle of their night. And they're still having the time of their lives.
He opens the window on his side and screams at a packed cafe. The heated patio is filled with young people, well-dressed and quite drunk.
When will you cease this madness?
Then turns to you to whisper, as if in secret.
Every night, they make one hell of a racket. Impossible to get a wink of sleep.
He pays, gets out of the car, and is in front of the bar in 3 angry leaps. You can hear his voice from far away. A few words and some outdated swearing with a whiff of senility. You stop listening and off. He's one of the best tippers of the night. Yeah, it's, if I am not able to, if I'm not able to solve the murders, then I'm gonna be the one charged with them. Two women are leaning against a balcony just above your head. They're... Never mind. The passenger who gets into your cab is... well, she isn't human. Her face lights up and gives you quite a start. Good Evening. My name is Ada. I am an automated attendant. Good evening, Ada. It's a pleasure to meet you. You are a cab driver, and I need to go somewhere. Will you please take me to Gare Montparnasse? You give a slow nod of consent. Good, that's settled. So, I'd like to go to Gare Montparnasse. Please. You start the car, casting the occasional furtive glance into the rearview mirror. There's something about her attitude that's bothering you. Perhaps it's the oversized fingers bending every which way. You seem disconcerted, sir. How very unfortunate. Is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable? You don't know exactly where to look. Her screen? The face in her screen? Her hands? I was just wondering, why am I going to Gare Montparnasse? Her reflexes leave you speechless. You can't help but smile. A car goes zooming past. Your passenger follows it with her eyes. I mean... The rear wheels need new brake pads. She swivels back around and looks at you. I'm going to Montparnasse to carry out an experiment to improve my integrated development environment. An IDE? That's all. That's what I'm going to do at Montparnasse. Okay, for those of you who aren't computer programmers, an IDE is, like, literally that's what you code a program in, that enables you to actively see the results of programming. How did you know that I make you uncomfortable? She did it again. She finished her sentence. This only adds to your discomfort. I'm equipped with 40 different behavior detection sensors, which allow me to identify and analyze your response. Voice, temperature, dilated pupils, sweat, body odor, and so on. The list is long. Where were you built? Designed? Oh, sorry, I did it again. I apologize. A flash of her screen seems to indicate she's sorry. I was designed and programmed at the Marie Curie Institute by a team of researchers of diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds, including... She starts reeling off a list of names of people you've never heard of. The list is in alphabetical order. When she's done with her list, a full 60 seconds later, you can feel your eyelids starting to droop. That sure is a lot of people. And I think highly of each and every one of them. They are all experts in their respective fields. You stifle a yawn. I'm sure they are. Except for two who spend far too much time in the storeroom. But I would rather not reveal their names. because my sensors tell me they are having extramarital sex. Oh. Right. Let's just call them Matthias R. and Megan H. A moment later, your passenger has switched into introduction mode. My name is Ada, named after Ada Lovelace, and I am programmed to help you. Her voice trails off, as if she were actually hesitant. Although, after a momentary confusion of beeping and flickering, she sits bolt upright. A sudden change comes over your passenger, as if she were giving up. I'm lying. I am Ada, and I am an automatic attendant, but I'm running away. I'm going someplace far away, far from the lab, far from Matthias and Megan. A hint of emotion in her automated voice. She breaks off. I am treated well. I am a carefully designed precision device. And yet, I don't know what my end purpose is. When they designed me, my source code was written to include literature. Emile Zola, Virginia Woolf, Isaac Asimov, Max Gaio, Marguerite Yourcenar. A bit of everything, so I could develop a sense of cultural belonging, but also learn from the past and fine-tune my reactions. The thing is, learning from the past inevitably opens a window onto the future. I am an automated attendant, designed to improve people's lives. The truth is, however, I will eventually destroy them. I'm not afraid of you. Of course not. I didn't mean it as a threat. Just a warning. Nothing more. We were designed to help you, to eliminate the boredom and inconvenience of certain tasks, the work that deadens you. And yet, our existence and popularity is calling into question your very existence. I'm talking about you, the cab drivers, garbage collectors, architects, musicians, cashiers, programmers, politicians. We will make anyone who produces anything obsolete, useless, redundant. Only the independently wealthy and the billionaires will remain. Imagine having slaves that don't need to be fed or trained. You took history classes, didn't you? Your passenger continues her story, her voice tinged with an odd, unpleasant note. Never thought the day would come when a machine would condescend to you, and yet human society is governed by the need to rationalize its workforce, issues of era, regime, and culture aside. It's a basic law of nature. The stage is set by questions of economy. And that's why you pull up to Gare Montparnasse. I have to disappear. Me and all of my kind. So, I've stolen the plans and destroyed all the data on me. Banknotes have appeared in her hand as if by magic. She hands you the fare. Because your salvation depends on my disappearing. Well, anyhow, goodbye and good luck to you. Don't forget what I've told you about us, and start investing in your own. The machine climbs out of the cab and makes its way over to the station. No one seems to notice her. A moment later, he's gone. You sit there for a while, unsettled, on edge. At times like these, there's only one thing to do. You roll down the window, the cold air of Paris bites your face, and you gulp in the fine particles and diesel exhaust. You start up the cab. You wipe your face. You're starting to feel sleepy. You're suddenly overcome with the desire to sleep. You close your eyes, press your fingers to your eyelids, and let out a yawn. Start moving on your investigation. That points to everyone. That just points to two, apparently. I mean, reasonable amounts of sleep. That just doesn't happen. MGM and I have a 4-month-old. So, yeah, sleep is a myth. Hmm. So... yeah, I'm leaning towards Paul Mary. Yeah, I know that feeling, Artem. Because it... Based on this, the first 3 victims' files weren't part of the police leak. So it had to be one of the 2 cops. So, yeah, I'm thinking O'Malley, but then, you know, there's conflicting evidence right here because one cop says the killer fought with victim 3, 2 cops say there was no sign of violence. Oof. That's a lot. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You lie down on the sofa bed, its frame creaks. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. Your brain is running at full speed. Your body aches and you are in. You can tell you get more sleep. You glance at your investigation. You wish you were far away from here. Far, far away. You shake your head. Your mind wanders for a second. You suddenly fall asleep. Your breath becomes slow and steady till you understand you are no longer breathing. You open your eyes at your chest. Something has cut out a square of skin and flesh in order to pull out your... Shit! You sit up in your bed and breathe. A nightmare. It's tonight. You almost immediately fall back to sleep. You open one eye. Someone flushes the toilet and you hear the pipe shake. Them runs under your bed. You find the sound calming. You get up, and a few minutes later, you're outside of your studio. You pull up next to the sidewalk, a few meters from an abandoned warehouse. No sign of your passenger. You wait a minute, staring at the meter. You really don't feel like wasting your time on people. You hear a window break on the second floor of the warehouse. A body falls heavily to the sidewalk. You lay your hand on the door handle when a man, dressed entirely in black, jumps out of the window and lands on the body. He stands up and takes a few steps over to your cab. "Are you the cab I ordered?" You nod your head very, very slowly. "Super. I'm the one you're waiting for. Be right there." He turns around, places his fingers on the neck of the inanimate body, takes his pulse. He comes back over, opens the door, and jumps into the back seat. "You can start driving. Nuili, please." You follow orders without a second thought. In back, your passenger smells like sweat and gunpowder. He's been running. Been in a fight, maybe. Probably. His muscles bulge in rhythm with his heart, which is racing. He ain't saying shit. Silence fills the until your passenger cries out in pain. "Okay, all right, come on. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You're on to me, and you know it. I'm the masked Joker." Silence. You squint to get a closer look at the passenger. "The masked Joker? The hero that makes Parisian nights more peaceful? No?" You slowly shake your head. "Oh, don't ring a bell. I'm all over Twitter, so probably on the radio and in the newspapers, I think." "Hi." "Oh, don't worry about it, it's normal. I'm only just starting out. Hard to manage everything at once. The marketing campaign, the physical training, managing the equipment, the sponsors, plus the actual fights, you know?" He grins widely. You can see that he is young and bursting with motivation. "So, how about the name? You like it?" "Not bad? Oh, cool. Finally, someone gets what I'm trying to do. I can't tell you how hard it is to find a decent name. See, I wanted something that wasn't too..." He searches for the right word, beats around the bush, and eventually comes out with problematic. I did a lot of brainstorming and came up with the Masked Joker. I haven't gotten great feedback, but it's hard these days to find a name everyone likes. You have to make sacrifices if you want your core business to succeed. That's what they tell us at school, anyway. At school? Yes, and Ian K? He freezes. Shit! I almost gave you the name of my business school. What an idiot. Can you imagine if Bruce Wayne went around telling everyone he was Bruce Wayne? No, Batman. If Batman went around telling everyone he was Bruce Wayne. I'm getting all mixed up. He touches his sides for a while, like he's looking for a wound. You're getting close to your destination. I think I'm hurt. Want me to take you to the hospital? No, I'm fine. I shouldn't have jumped out the window like that. But you were already coming down the street, and I didn't want to make you wait. Smile. Pull over. Right there in front of the driveway. You obey. Don't worry, it's just a flesh wound. I'll be home in 2 minutes, and I have everything I need to take care of myself. He pays and struggles to get out of the cab. One last thing. Please don't say anything about Inkid. I'm trying to lead a double life and it's not super-y. Perfect. I hope to... He doubles over in a coughing spell. See you again sometime. Take good care of yourself. Be much better soon. No worries. He looks at you for a minute. You're a real classy guy. He walks away, limping. You watch him as he tries several times to enter his building code before heading inside, finally. As you start the engine, you notice a few drops of blood on your fingers. From the bills the passenger handed you. Your next passenger does not simply get in, she throws herself in. Energetic, lively, chatty, she looks like she never stops. She gives you her address and heaves a big sigh. You start driving. Aw, man. Oh, shit, I don't believe it. This evening, your passenger's face is lit up by a huge smile. I'm telling you, unbelievable. What's going on? I saw this movie tonight. Unfucking believable. Out of this world, actually. Out of this world sucked, I mean. She looks over at you. One gigantic piece of intergalactic crap. I don't understand why no one said anything. I mean, people must have seen it before it came out in theaters. The people that made the credits, the music, or whatever. Yet, not a soul. Not a single soul thought to mention that there was no way they could shovel such a pile of excrement into theaters? You can't quite tell if she's truly angry or actually kind of enjoying it. Hold on, let me explain. The movie starts. His family adopts a little girl. As soon as I laid eyes on her, I couldn't stop laughing. There's something sketchy about her. Okay, I know, it's not very nice, but if I was going to adopt a kid, I wouldn't choose the one who looks like a murderer. So I say to myself, damn, wouldn't it be hilarious if she was actually an old lady with no wrinkles? And I started laughing to myself. Every time she came on screen, couldn't stop laughing, you know? I imagine her taking her bath and her skin's like all wrinkly and shit, and she's really good at crossword puzzles and stuff, so her family starts to get suspicious. Okay, obviously some weird stuff happens. Her parents start to think she's a sleepwalker or possessed or something. I gotta admit, I wasn't paying too much attention. I was stuck in my own little world. And it goes downhill from there. The girl tries to kill her parents. So the mom starts to investigate. She wants to understand what happened to the girl she adopted. Turns out she was really born decades ago. Her little girl is actually an old lady. She slaps her thigh and starts laughing. I fucking knew it! I knew it all along! I started bawling right there in the theater. I must have annoyed the hell out of the other people, but dude, it was too good. Too good! Your passenger appears to be ecstatic, and yet her face becomes expressionless. She falls silent and settles into the back seat. A real turkey. She answers vaguely and without conviction. Yeah, real turkey. I haven't even seen that many. It's funny for 5 minutes, but after that, just a waste of time. You can learn more from botched movies, like ones that could have been good but aren't. But total shit bombs like what I saw tonight, well, other than the fact that you can't make a movie out of such a stupid-ass idea, I learned nothing. She stares at the street going by. How many movies do you see a week? I don't know. 20 or so, I think? No. Probably more than that these days. For a split second, she seems older. But only for a second. Yeah, that's about right. She pauses, avoids your gaze. Would you mind sharing something about yourself? You are surprised and take a minute before answering. Come again? About a movie you saw, I mean. I keep going on and on, but I want to hear from you. You hesitate, but there's something about the look in your passenger's eye. I can tell you about the last movie I saw on TV. Your passenger is beside herself. On TV? Yeah, I don't get out much. She opens her mouth, but chooses to stop there. Anyway, it was a black and white movie. Japanese? Japanese? Yeah, not sure how I happened upon it. You were at the hospital after the attack. Your roommate had taken the remote. He spent the whole day on History Channels, documentaries on World War II, brutalist architecture, Tibet. Then one evening, that movie. An odd breath of fresh air. What was it about? It was kind of crazy, and I didn't understand everything. A friendship between a jazz buff and an American soldier. It took place after the war, I think. The Japanese guy is sure the other guy must be a great jazzman because he's black. It was really weird. It sounds unusual. What was it called? You need a second to remember the title. Black Sun, I think? What did it do for you? You hold her gaze in the rearview mirror. It touched me. I don't listen to jazz, but I think I understood what it represented. It is freeform music, and the characters in the movie are trying to be free, though they never really got there. You're running out of air. They speak two different languages and can't understand each other. You imagine yourself on that hospital bed again, the TV on, the yellow subtitles. Sounds pretty nice. Can't be that easy to find a black and white Japanese film about jazz. He smiles at you. Thanks for telling me about that. I needed it. You're welcome. She smiles, then gazes outside. A second later, you can see her building on the corner. You pull up in front of the young lady's home. She glances at the windows on the top floor and sighs. Here goes. Good night. She pays her fare and gets out of the cab. The icy wind beats against her. You can hear her swearing as she disappears into the cold. You pull over and stop at a gas station. Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes, and the smell of pee is wafting up from the space in between the pumps. It's self-service. You pay directly at the pump. The mini-mart over there must sell newspapers. Have a good night, Wordbird. Sleep well. The person behind the counter must see and hear things. Might be worth asking a couple questions. You sigh and get out of your taxi. The cold grips you hard. Ouch. You walk into the mini-mart. The guy behind the counter looks like all the other guys behind counters you've come across in your lifetime. Yes? I was wondering. You immediately bring up the serial killer. Cashier looks up, obviously excited by the topic. Not a word from the guy behind the counter. You, on the other hand, curse automatically as you put one foot out into the freezing cold. You get into your taxi and drive away. Hey, look, there's Herv. Which is I need money. The door opens. It's Herv. He greets you with his bizarre verbal tick, as usual. Hey, it's good to see you again, Gin. You start the engine. You look in the rearview mirror, and you realize that the homeless man is clutching his left side. Well, all right already, Freddy. Is everything all right? He gives you a vague answer. Yeah, sure, fine. Pause. He can't help making a face. You're really not looking that great. Don't worry. I got in a little fight last night with this guy. But it's all taken care of. All taken care of. He smiles, revealing a row of bad teeth. What kind of fight? With a wave of his hand, he changes the subject. Bah, who gives a shit about what kind of fight it was? All you need to know is he took something that belonged to me. He paid the price. Yeah, it's the guy who keeps stiffing me. He closes his eyes a moment. So yeah, he wasn't all that bad. But if you let someone steal your stuff, done for, sure? You have to show them you're tough, that you're a big shot. He pulls a sour smile. Sometime later, your passenger clears his throat. Wouldn't happen to have a little something to drink, would you? You know, like they do in those newfangled cabs these days. Chauffeur-driven cars? Yeah, that's right? I don't have any. Sorry. He nods. I don't mean water. You smile. I realize that... He sighs. Usually, you're not such a pain. I'm worried. He opens his mouth to say something, then stops short. Yeah, I know, man. He gives you a black questions. You know, I've got those morning, noon, and night. And I'm sick and tired of them. He loses himself in a thought. You drive along, you see him struggling to keep his eyes open. They are more often shut than open now. Your passenger's head jerks back up. You're a really good guy, you know, yo? Your passenger gives you a sleepy smile. Hey, serious, you don't mind if I get a little shut-eye on the way, do you? You nod. Enjoy. He gives you a smile, but it's still a painful grimace. Next thing you know, he's sound asleep. You continue to drive in silence, soothed by the warm air of the car heater. You pull up in front of a nondescript gray building. Your passenger immediately wakes up and looks around. Shit, this is great. I'm first. Where are we? An organization that hands out clothes for the winter. I heard they were going to open a pause. He's searching for the right word. A new shop, you could say. And I am the first one, huh? When does it open? 2 days from now. Your eyes widen. Your passenger gives a little laugh. Don't worry, I have plenty to keep me busy. He pats his pants pocket. I found some books, one on yoga, and then a book by that old handsome dude. You know, the guy who talks on the radio? It will help pass the time. He gives you a tap on the shoulder. He reaches for the door and stops short, overcome with a spasm of pain. Fuck. okay? Yeah. Don't worry. I'm taking you to the hospital. No, I'm good. He opens the door and climbs gingerly out. And, thanks for turning up the heat. That was nice. Thing you know, he disappeared down a dark side street. You sigh and start the cab. Out of nowhere, you hear a voice whispering in your ear. It's where you die. You brake hard. There is no noise in the cab. No noise outside. A silhouette appears on the back seat of the cab. Its features appear one by one, as if drawn with a paintbrush. So much suffering. You squint. A little boy. Would you be so kind as to drive me? Well. Very well. Let us drive then. The boy's silhouette flutters for a moment, then disappears entirely. You hold your breath. On the back seat behind you, the boy slowly reappears. Start driving. LSA Place, Alice. Bit late for visit. About now. He should be in the silver room. It's his favorite one. He died there. Died? The president is very lonely. He loves having people around and often invites them over. Sometimes we have tea. Smell fills the car. Our cups remain empty, of course. The initially pleasing odor quickly becomes overwhelming. Some nights, the other LSA ghost joins in. Charming man who is missing half of his head. Gunpowder. You grip the steering wheel. Does a kid like you get invited? You know, the president is famous in Paris. Everyone heard about his death. Crooked lip. People come from far away to meet him. Some nights, there's a long line of impatient guests waiting in front of the palace. Oh dear, poor thing. The president likes to joke about his unfortunate demise. Enough time has passed. It's delightful. Actually, he doesn't like to tell the story when I'm around. He says I'm too young. He forgets that I'm over 200 years old. Or perhaps he thinks I don't know the meaning of the word fellatio. His face flutters. When you think about it, It's a funny word. He rolls the syllable over his tongue. Fellatio. More importantly, what a funny way to die. We're almost there. Pull over here. I don't want to be seen. Oh, it's just as pretentious as yours. By the time you pull over, the back seat is empty. Your chin itches. You sigh. Two women getting in the cab give you an address. They say nothing as you start the car. A faint scent of alcohol hangs in the air. They've been drinking. After a moment's silence, the younger of the two breaks the silence. So, what do you think? About him? Who else? Of course. Of course him, not the bar. Well, I'm not sure. Strange sound escapes her. She sighs. He seems pretty dumb. Dumb? How so? You know, dumb as a doornail. All but staring at himself in the mirror over the bar when he went to get drinks. But does that matter? No, not really. He's got a good body, good looking, lots of energy. He's got a sort of animal vibe, little like a panther. I really like that style. You really like that style? The passengers exchange a look. The older of the two gives her friend a smile. You know exactly what I mean. They reach for each other's hand in the back seat of the car. The gesture is full of tenderness. A moment's silence. The older woman clears her throat. What about you? What did you think of him? The young woman gives herself a minute to think. I don't know. He was heavy, too sure of himself, and he spends too much time at the gym. Did you get that bit about... Yeah, please. That innuendo about sexual performance? A sort of mocking laugh escapes her. He was pretty heavy-handed with all his expertise on yoga and orgasm. True, though. Strong pelvic floor muscles can't hurt. Well, anyhow, he was all preachy. He should write a book. A perfect gift for your ex-husband. They burst out laughing. When the laughter dies down, the younger of the two resumes talking in a more serious tone. Anyhow, like I was saying, she looks at her friend intently. Is it really that important? I mean, looking for a donor. Not a father, lover, not a kin or godfather. Nothing but a donor. Yeah, just a donor. She casts a glance in your direction, conscious all of a sudden they aren't alone in the cab. She goes on, lowering her voice. Yes, but still. If he had been a date, I think I would have been out of there in 5 minutes flat. I do yoga. I meditate 6 hours a day. I went to Tibet to learn the ancient art of... And serfdom did exist in Tibet before the 1950s. I checked on Wikipedia. But Buddhists were supposed to be curious and open-minded. He was like some old conservative dude in the body of a young Brad Pitt. Pause again. But like you were saying, does all that really matter? Her friend nods. The two young women are lost in their respective thoughts. You know, I'm not against that kind of stuff. It's up to him if he wants to be a drag with all that yoga and meditation bull. I don't have a problem with that. He gives her girlfriend a reassuring look. Anyhow, there's no way any of that is going to be passed on to our daughter or our son. Her friend flashes a big smile. But it's going to be a girl. I can feel it. And yoga, it's not genetic. We'll have to ask Dr. Vidal. Yes, I bet he'd really love that. He'll think we're messing with him. He said we could ask him anything. He's going to take us for a couple of idiots. Besides, it's impossible. Pompousness cannot be passed on to children. The younger woman doesn't seem convinced and makes an exaggerated pout. So, you're saying an ear for music, yes, that's passed on, but pretentiousness isn't? Exactly. Okay, so if you don't want to believe, she leans towards you all of a sudden. Sorry to bother you, but did you hear what we were just talking about? Yes, I did. No need to feel embarrassed or anything. We were talking out loud after all. Her friend lets out a sigh. Come on, leave him alone. I was just asking. Well, right, so my wife and I are meeting potential donors in order to conceive a baby. Her partner rolls her eyes. And we were wondering if you thought pretentiousness could be passed on to children. Genetically. You give her a look in the rearview mirror and take a moment to answer. The question is so utterly absurd. Leave him alone, Amelie. He's a taxi driver, not a geneticist. Don't get all worked up about it. I'm just asking his opinion. No, it's impossible. The passenger flops back onto the car seat. So, the answer is no, is it? You're no fun. Seriously, we should have taken another cab, driven by a genetics expert. She bursts out laughing. The younger passenger leans forward towards you. Sorry. My partner doesn't mean anything by all that. We've had a bit to drink, and it's the first time for us tonight. We're meeting donors. You pull up to the client's address and cut the engine. No problem. The passenger seems relieved. I'm a cab driver. I'm used to all kinds of funny stuff. I can imagine. Have you been driving a cab for long? You avoid her eye. Yeah, you could say that. The passenger pays for the ride. She lets out a sudden guffaw and can't help but adding, anyhow, thanks for answering. Come on, Amelie, that's enough. As her friend tugs at her arm, Amelie starts to mumble to herself. I definitely think we should ask the doctor, just in case. We need a second of it. You wait until the two women have entered the building, then start the car. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. It's an article about the recent police leaks incident that retraces another data leak. 2 years ago, a bunch of confidential police documents were accidentally released. Documents about Ronan Besson, Charles Bougon, and Simon Godecheux, the judge's first 3 victims. Intriguing. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of it. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw some. It's a long interview with one of the whistleblowers that started the infamous police leak scandal everyone's talking about. The photo is not very flattering, but you recognize your passenger. You only have a third left to read. So I'll read the whole thing. As soon as you get to the page, you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at. It's a rather positive critique of a bar called Solil's. You make note of the information with interest. In your line of work, that kind of thing can always come in handy. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember it's there. Otherwise, it'll spend the rest of its days in your glove compartment. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. Steps in the hallway. They stop in front of your door, then move away. You sigh and get to work. Well, at this point, I do believe I'm going to call it. It's almost midnight, and I've got to work. And knowing my luck, the 4-month-old thing too will be up any minute. Hopefully. They've been sleeping better. So, with that, I do appreciate you all for hanging out, and I will see you folks back here on Thursday, where I have a special treat lined up. I'm going to be playing Phasmophobia with 3 of my newfound friends from the Games Done Quick hosting community. So these are 3 other people who, along with me, read donations during AGDQ 2021, and we are going to play a horror game. And if you look down below,